Is on the move with myself, Palesa Tau, and Benjamin Moshatama. It's the month of October, and if you haven't heard it before, some people call this month Ocsober, and you're like, that doesn't make sense. It's October, not October. No, this is actually a trend that has taken place over the past couple of years, where people decide that during the month of October that they will remain sober, and this is pertaining in particular to alcohol. They will be not taking any alcohol intake during the month of October. But what does soberness actually mean? I mean, it can't just be about alcohol, but soberness is a state of mind. It's also about removing yourself from the vices that you think you have control over but aren't particularly healthy for you. It is quite a timely opportunity to step back, to reset and reflect on our habits, particularly in this month around alcohol usage. Beyond the abstinence itself, a 30-day break offers a unique lens through which to examine our relationships with self-discipline, mental clarity, and personal growth. And we're speaking about this, exploring what 30 days without alcohol or any of these other vices can teach you, and also we're delving into the role of self-discipline and delayed gratification. Joining us on the line is Omalayo Okunola, who is a purpose midwife and certified life and leadership coach, joining us from Germany. Thank you so much, Omalayo, for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it is a pleasure to chat to you today. You know, Ocsober, some people are maybe hearing about this for the first time and they're saying, that's quite strange. Why would people decide to do that? But I want to reflect on the word sober itself, right? What does soberness mean?
So it's basically, and thank you so much once again for having me. Like you said, October it's a month where we also call October, and it's a month where we basically talk about being kind of low, quiet, and doing things that we normally would not do, taking reflections on our current activities and trying to become better people. Basically, that would be it's really what we call about reflection and choosing the right attitude. That would be sober in my definition.
All right, let's chat a little bit about this because I think you've kind of set the tone. But before we go back to that, I want to know what a purpose midwife is. I've never heard that term before. Let us know, Omalayo. What does that mean? What do you do there?
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. So what I love to do is I love to help people. I'm very big on helping people, and so I love to make people understand, find out where they need to go, what they are made to do in life, basically why they are on earth, right? And that's purpose, basically. And so I had coached a couple of people, and then there was like a mutual consensus to say that I'm actually a midwife because I was able to help them birth their life of purpose, a life of meaning. And that's really where the name came from, Purpose Midwife.
I love that. It's so unique, right? And it's so African. I love the fact that you repurposed it in that way. I want to talk about this October thing because I think it becomes more beneficial, right, when you're doing it as a choice, not because you feel under pressure. Should it be something that you do because you want to, or should you do it because other people are doing it? Because most people at times, they're just doing it because it's a trend. It's on social media. Let me join everyone. Let me join that bandwagon.
All right, awesome. Thank you for that question. You know, when I got the topic on October, I had to do a deep dive to understand what it meant, and I went through statistics regarding South Africa, and I came up with a poll from the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, and what the outcome of the poll that they did was very alarming and it's actually sobering. So they talked about the fact that 96% of South Africans actually believe that alcohol is a national problem, right? And you know, and they're actually right because from the statistics again, they are told that about 102 people lose their lives every day based on alcohol-related deaths. And so that means that there's something that we all need to do. It comes to the point where we need to take ownership. And so this is not just about joining the bandwagon and saying, oh, because somebody else is doing it, I also need to do it. I think that everybody needs to do it. It's part of what we should do to become better people. Again, looking at the statistics, there was one that caught my attention. It talked about the fact that young adults aged 25 to 34, they're at risk of dying, right? They have the highest risk of dying from alcohol-related injuries. That is not a coincidence. And so that means that everybody needs to be a part of it, not because others are doing it, but because the nation is at risk if we do not take ownership of this. Yeah.
Yeah, habits are something that are part of our daily lives. Some of our habits are positive and some of our habits are negative and sometimes detrimental to us. A habit like alcohol, as you said through the statistics, is one that many people see as, oh yeah, it's just a casual habit and maybe it helps me relax, maybe it helps me have fun or things like that. But we might not really understand just how much of an impact that one habit has on our lives. They say that it takes 30 days to either start a habit or let go of the habit. What is that significance of that 30 days when trying to either release or begin a new habit?
Okay, so it's most of the time it's 21 days actually, right? It's 21 days to reinforce a habit. So what we are trying to do is to let your mind, because the mind is like the transformer of all the things, the decisions that we make. So what we do is to become consistent enough that the mind now sees, it reprograms the mind such that it sees that thing as a part of it. And then after 21 days, what then happens is that the mind would not need you to tell it again to do those things. It becomes a default setting for the mind. And that's why we say we need to be consistent in doing one thing for minimum of 21 days. And I'm glad that it's 30 days here, so that at the end of the day, your mind already has a basis of doing what it is doing. It now reinforces that thing at every point in time. It now becomes almost something that you do without, it becomes a learned competence that you don't have to do anything. It becomes just part of you. And that's really why the number of days is very important. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the number of days is important because you making that conscious decision to omit from that substance or maybe from sugar or whatever you are abstaining from. But you also have to conscientize yourself to say, I'm staying away. What do you think you have to do mentally to get ready for this kind of a decision?
All right. So when I was preparing for our chat today, I came up with a framework called Sober, right? And I think that would answer the question very well. So the first letter in Sober is S, which means stewardship. The first thing we want to do when we are going to stop any habit, build any habit, is to first of all understand that we are the owners of our life. And to that extent, we are responsible for taking charge of whatever it is outcome we want out of our life. And again, because time is not neutral. What time does is time will always multiply our current decisions and then it pays us in the future. And that is why it's so important to understand that I need to do this thing and stop blaming circumstances and situations on what we are trying to do. Again, my ownership means that I refuse to compete against my own potential. Now I'm maximizing it and taking ownership, exercising the habit and discipline that I need to do, because again, I'm a steward of my life and I'm going to give account of that even in the future time.
Okay, Omalayo, I'm gonna stop you there. I know we just started with the letter S. We need to take a break, but I love that description. S stands for stewardship. Let's continue to hear the other phrases that you have for the word sober and what it can mean and how we can implement this during the month of October. We're having a break right now, but we're speaking to Purpose Midwife and certified life and leadership coach Omalayo Okunola, who's helping us speaking about Ocsober and a 30 life soberness challenge that perhaps you should be implementing in your life.
Start your day right with Channel Africa Breakfast.
That smells delicious.
Live, 5 days a week.
Annie Kalonji sur Channel Africa.
Comment est-ce que les militants et sympathisants du parti Les Transformateurs ont-ils réagi face à la condamnation de ces
La condamnation de Sucé Massara ne nous a pas surpris et les militants transformateurs ont été bouleversés et indignés étant donné que le verdict est un verdict lourd, illégal, injuste et donc face à la répression dans laquelle le peuple tchadien est confronté, les militants transformateurs se sont résignés de ne pouvoir pas sortir manifester et donc c'est une situation totalement absurde pour un pays et aujourd'hui nous célébrons le 11 août, fête de l'indépendance. On pensait que le verdict allait être plus ou moins clément, mais le verdict est sévère.
Annie Kalonji, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
On the Move, weekdays, 9 a.m. to midday.
Only on Channel Africa. #OnTheMove.
Hey, keep moving with us right here. We are right in this conversation we're having with Omalayo Okunola joining us, a purpose midwife and certified life and leadership coach. We're speaking about Ocsober, which is informally part of October, where people are saying, you know what, for 30 days, I'll stay away from alcohol. What can this teach you about your self-discipline, about delayed gratification, but also empowering yourselves in terms of resilience, self-awareness, and long-term fulfillment? Omalayo is joining us from Germany on the line. Omalayo, you had a fantastic thing that you had put together for us. I think that's wonderful. And you started with two of the first letters of the word sobers, and you said S stands for stewardship, O stands for ownership. You can continue with the ownership element, what you wanted to elaborate when it comes to that.
All right, thank you so much. O is actually for order. Stewardship and ownership will be in the same category.
Okay, sure.
Right? So we've talked about stewardship, which is you taking ownership for your life, for your decision, for the things, outcomes of the life that you want. Then we go to order. Order is basically talking about self-discipline. Because once you know that I'm doing all these things, then you need to begin to practice alignment, bring structure into your life to ensure that what you want does not end up in chaos. Okay? So, and that's why we say we need to choose consistency over convenience. And that's what order brings, because one missed commitment today, one wasted night, at the end of the day, your character begins to chip away.
Sure.
You begin to erode yourself. And so self-discipline must be applied. And self-discipline basically means you saying yes to tomorrow as against saying yes to today. So you're saying no to today, basically, and you're saying yes to tomorrow because you want your destiny in your hands. So that means you're setting boundaries, you're resisting impulses, and you're making a daily choice of becoming successful, because your future is not just going to appear all of a sudden. It starts from the order that you put into today, the discipline that you're able to put into today per time, and that's really the essence. You're building your muscle, your willpower, basically. That's what self-discipline does to you, to say that I want this thing, but I prefer this one because this serves me better in the long term. That's what self-discipline does. It is choosing your future you as against your current you, okay? And then the next thing would be to talk about balance. Because life is not just about you avoiding habits. There must be a balance to it. It should be about you creating healthy habits. There are habits that we know we need to have just to get the best out of the life that we desire. And so, one thing the way we must look at alcohol is that yes, it does provide and promise relief. But in reality, it takes us out of balance because, again, it dulls your clarity and it slows down your momentum. And of course, that begins to drain away the potential that you have. So you must need to apply balance to what you are doing. And true balance is you living in rhythm. There's a way your life flows. It flows out naturally. There's work, there's rest, there's clarity, there's discipline, and there's delight. That's what sobriety really does. It brings you back to equilibrium. Where it's not just about your physical health, it's about your mental health, it's about your emotional health. And so balance is also key. Not just avoiding things, but also being deliberate about the actions that you're taking. Building healthy habits just so that you have equilibrium just the way you want. And the next thing which we speak to delayed gratification will be endurance, E for endurance. Okay, because the reality is that I cannot decide that today I'm not going to do something anymore. Every year, we always get people to talk about their New Year resolution, but we know that most people don't go close to it. At the end of Q1, that goes down the drain, because it's not just about your decision to do something, it's about the fact that you need to endure for a long time. And endurance it's a long-term game, right? And so that's what that does. It now powers your delayed gratification, because delayed gratification now gives you the ability to say, again, like I said, to go to what exactly it is that you want the most, and not just what you want that looks okay for you now. But the reality is that when it comes to endurance, it's not just about willpower, like I said. It is about environment power, because your environment power is stronger than your willpower. Willpower is not just enough. And that's why I found that people that are successful, they would always ensure that they structure their environment to make them succeed. The environment is so that they cannot make bad decisions. And so they build an environment that would support them in making all the right decisions for where they intend to go to. So that's really what endurance is about. And that's what your delayed gratification does for you, where you're able to take the right decisions, even if it's going to be uncomfortable now, but knowing that in the long run, this is what I want, and that's the outcome, right? And I would say again that one of the things in terms of environment is that for those that are trying to leave alcohol, you must be aware, right, to ensure that you build the environment to help you get out of this situation, okay? And that's why your friends are important. Your friends, like I say, your friends can also determine your end. So you want to be particular about the kind of people that are in your circle to help you make that decision that you are building. I don't know if I have time to quickly share a story about two brothers that they had the father that was a drunkard that couldn't keep a job, and then at the end of some years after, they found the two brothers on different sides of the divide. One was very successful, the other one was a drunkard, just like their dad. And they were asked the same question: how come you're in this situation? And they gave the same response: my father was responsible. Now, how does that make sense? Your father is responsible for you being a drunkard. How come we have someone that is a successful entrepreneur? And the one that was successful said one thing: I took ownership of the fact that I saw my father like this, that's the environment, and I decided I'm not going to end up in this same situation. So he determined the environment was going to be. The other one that ended up like his father said that, okay, you know what, this is not about me. And so he gave ownership of his life to his father. Yeah.
Okay, very
Right.
powerful, man. I find that so sobering in itself, because you kind of took all those symbols and then you kind of incorporated this whole idea of sober. I really believe you are a purpose midwife. I don't know how you did that, but you did that so beautifully. And relationships are something that you highlighted there. And it's such an important thing, because you can't say I'm going to Ocsober, but you're going to the bar and you're saying I'll just have a Coke, because that environment that you're in is going to tempt you to actually start drinking. So also the relationships, while you're pursuing this, you must kind of be very careful where you hang out. It's going to be difficult, right? In that sense.
Absolutely. And the reality is that we are always paying the cost at every time. So you're either paying the cost of your future now, or you are paying the cost of the pain that you're going to get in the future for not doing what you need to do today. So, like I said, even for me, myself, for the level I'm going to as well, there are certain decisions that I had to make. I want to become a purpose midwife. There are certain places I must be. There are certain environments that will no longer serve the person that I'm becoming. And so I made the painful decision to leave those people, to leave that environment, and focus on the people that would serve me in becoming who I really need to be. The last one would be on renewal. And again, it's about knowing that all of these things we said is not going to be automatic. It takes intention. It takes an intentionality for you to stop drinking and maintain that. And I don't know if you know the story of Sinalo. Sinalo is a South African star, cricket star. And at some point in 20, she went down the drain, and it was so bad that she had to check, she sought for help. She had to check herself into the rehab. And she said something that made me pause. She said that for a moment, she couldn't even remember that she was part of the 2022 Commonwealth Games. And this is a successful, or this was a success at that time. But you know what? The beautiful thing about her story is that because she took ownership, she chose to be sober, applying all the principles that I've mentioned here. Today, she's one of the best we can talk about, right, in South Africa. We are told that currently she's one of the best wicket keepers in the women's game. And that's the power of knowing that it's not enough to just want to do something. It's actually going out to get to do this thing. And she really inspired me, knowing that she went down the day, she almost missed it, but she said, no, I'm going to be sober. I'm going to take ownership. I'm going to be responsible enough to take ownership of my time, disciplined enough to choose daily, to choose success daily, and balanced enough to protect my dream from deflation, and enjoying enough to outlast the temptation that alcohol can give to me today. And finally, being renewed enough to step into my future with clarity. And today, that's why we see her where she is. She's big in South Africa. She's a star that everybody wants to reckon with. Thank you so much.
Well, Omalayo, I could listen to you every day. Wow. Can I give you a hallelujah? Because every word that came out of your mouth was very inspiring. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much. We really do appreciate your time here with us here this morning, and quite an awakening, and maybe something that could convince you to begin Ocsober. Even if you need convincing or not, it might not be alcohol, but if you can identify something in your life that you'd like to remove for that 30 days, let us know what that would be. That is Omalayo Okunola, a purpose midwife.
Where do we find Omalayo? I mean, we must find her somewhere on social media.
We have to.
Where are you on social media?
Yes, I'm on Instagram, Layo Okunola, Layo, Layo Okunola on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, Omalayo Okunola on Facebook, also on LinkedIn. as
Definitely,
well.
I'm gonna give you an invite very soon. I want to stay inspired, like I feel in this 20 minutes that we've been speaking to. Wonderful conversation.
From that inspirational
so
note,
much.
let's move on and get our latest sports news with Figile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa.
The African perspective.